Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. Not quite used to that yet. Here for my weekly cross-stitching update, and the gardeners are mostly done, I think. I can still hear them down the street, so hopefully I just need to get started because time is running out. I have a little bit of stash acquisitions, I guess you should say. Part of it is Stitchy Kindness. But first I bought, actually both of it's Stitchy Kindness, with a gift card. I bought from Acorns and Threads this really pretty cream de menthe fabric and threw in some beads for my letter fairy, and they just happen to be the same color. But I got this to go with Title Fairy, which was also a Christmas present, and I think it'll be really perfect. Originally, I was thinking like a light green from what I had seen online. I'm like, oh, this will be pretty. But when I emailed Acorns and Threads and asked about a few different fabric colors that I had seen online, and they said, well, we don't have those, but we have these other ones. And so I went and found a fabric viewer and looked around, and actually the ones I had originally been thinking might be good for this were probably too light and would wash it out. So this one, it was similar to, I think it was Woodland or something by Picture This Plus. This particular color was not in the fabric viewer because it's a smaller dyer, Needle Bling. But it was a similar color to a different one that was on there. And I'm like, well, that looks pretty. This is actually prettier than what I had seen online of this one. So I'm excited to put those together. I don't know when we'll start them, but I have it kitted up now. And I also got a sweet pass a stash, I guess, from Fiber Arts Amy. She sent a sweet stitching card along with that, and she had a duplicate, actually a couple of these are duplicates, I think, of a pattern I had on my wish list. So she offered it to me, and I said, yes, that'd be great. So this is the Quilt Maker by Lavender and Lace, and I just love that because I do dabble in quilt making, and I've been sewing for ages. And I have a daughter with blonde hair, so this was perfect. And I have White Peach Tea fabric by Grace Notes Fabrics, that was also sent to me a while back, and I haven't known what to do with it, but I think that would be perfect for this one. So I'm excited. That's kitted up now too. This little girl's hair, like the light shades in her hair are pretty light, so they might blend in with the fabric, but worst case I can backstitch along the top crown, because there's other backstitching in the hair too, so to make that work. But I think that's gonna be perfect. And she also sent along Angel of Winter by Lavender and Lace and Summer Breeze by Paula Vaughn. And because I think these are duplicates too. I don't tend to stitch the angels. So this will probably be a future giveaway, but I do have sort of a collection of Paula Vaughn's, and I don't think I have this one yet. So this is gonna go in my Paula Vaughn collection. But this is kind of a fun one. There's like a whole house back here and even a lady, which is a little different than some of the ones I have. So pretty cool. So thanks, Amy, that was nice. Oh yeah, and she sent a sweet little homemade pincushion with some cute little buttons. It's really small. So cute. So that was fun. I had already kind of forgotten that we'd talked about that. It was before the holidays, and so that was a nice surprise. Thank you very much. I'm excited. Again, I don't know when I'll start the Quilt Maker, but I have it ready to go. I'm trying to be responsible this year and focus more on finishing. I do have a small subset of starts planned throughout the year, but I don't want to go crazy. I do have, mentally, I feel like I have a lot of things I would like to start, but I think the power or the desire to finish things is stronger at this point, which is probably a good thing. So I'm trying to hold off. I know I have lots of things kitted up and ready to go whenever I'm ready. And yeah, so we'll try to be good. But now I have a lot of Fancy Ladies ready to start, and only one more slot for a Fancy Lady start. I was planning to start Once Upon a Time, I think is what it's called, this month, whenever it gets called for Bringo, and it has not yet been called. But I have one more fancy lady I was allowing myself to start this year, and now I'm a little bit torn. I have Peony Garden slotted for that, but both of these are now contenders because whenever I get something freshly kitted up, it's like extra exciting. So we'll see what happens. I think I have that one earmarked for, let's see, what month? For March, because of the first day of spring. So we'll see. It's not that far away. So yeah, I'll like kind of evaluate when the time comes and see which one I'm feeling the most. So anyways, let's jump in to what I've been working on this week, which has been kind of a lot. I feel like I'm only one day like late for my weekly update, but I feel like so much time has passed. I even had a project, I'm like, I haven't worked on this in a while, or I already showed this, and like, no, I haven't. I don't know, it feels like a lot of time has passed, so I missed you guys. First one is my temperature piece. I'm doing my temperature Quaker this year. So I got another 7 little segments done on Sunday to keep this caught up. So this is 1/1 on 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim, using the hot symbol key that you'll find in the chart. I have 4 symbol keys. Hopefully there's one that fits you, but if you need help adjusting it, just let me know. I'm happy to make a custom one, complimentary for you. So this is fun, still blues and purples, which it's been pretty cool here in January. This morning there was some more ice on the car, so it must have froze last night. So, but the sun is out now, so pretty fun. I'm enjoying this one. This one did take me. I did have to finish the last little section at home. I wasn't able to finish it in the car to and from church because I think there was one extra color than last week, and one of the colors I stopped, put it away, and got a new one and got it back out later because it was far enough around the circle. I didn't want to count to it in the car because I knew I'd probably count wrong because of all the bumping. Let's see. I have a finish with my travel stitching. I've been working on the Brooks Books Advent Animals, and I think I already got rid of the cover picture, but it's finished, so I'll just show you mine. I worked on this throughout the week and got it in the car waiting for the kids, and at least once when we were watching a show as a family, and then on Sunday had a decent amount of stitching time and got over the 500 stitch count mark on my full coverage that I was working on, and I thought, you know what, I really want to work on finishing up Kenny Kangaroo because all I had left was backstitching and little details. So I did it. So here is Kenny Kangaroo, all finished. He's super cute. This is on 18 count light blue Ada by Zweigart, and with two strands, full crosses, all the called for DMC, called for stitching instructions except for the border. So everything is as called for. He's a summer kangaroo because Christmas is in the summer in Australia, so super cute. He's got like a suntan lotion bottle in his stocking and a tropical drink. He's on the beach. All the other animals have a little like snow underneath them. He has like a light tan for sand. So, and these are supposed to be sun sparkles. Everybody else has snowflakes. So super cute. So Kenny Kangaroo is finished, which means my first Whip Go board square is also finished. So that's exciting because I put these on my Whip Go board, 1 per square, to try to finish this whole project this year. So that's exciting. Oh yeah, and I got a start on Colin Cardinal. So here's him. These are free designs from Brooks Books that she put out years ago, and they're still up there on her website. This is how far I got on Colin Cardinal. The kids did not have school yesterday, but I did take this with me to our family dinner last night and stitched on it a little bit. Got that white started. There's more white, but I got it started. I got like 2 2.5 lengths of thread, I think, of white. So that's fun. So I got that one started. That one I'll keep working on here while I wait for the kids this week. And I'm excited about that. Last Monday, I did work on my Mill Hill. I did not work on it yesterday because I didn't want to. Oh yeah, I was quilting. Yesterday I chose to quilt, and after I was done quilting, I figured I probably technically had a little bit of extra time, but I knew my evenings, since we do go out to my in-laws on Monday nights for dinner, my evening is a little bit shorter than usual for potential stitching time in the evening. So I went ahead and worked on Colin Cardinal at their house instead of Honeybee, because I was feeling that a little bit more. So I did not work on this yesterday, but I did work on it last Monday. So I do have a little bit of progress to show. Last Monday, I was kind of not feeling the outlines like I had been doing before, since half of it is beads. So I have to juggle 2 different symbols in my head. And I'm like, I just want something quick and easy. And I did work on this a little bit, I think at my in-laws as well last week. So I got a couple, 2 or 3 lengths of thread, 14 count goes fast, 4 lengths of thread in the background last week. Just filling in all of that color that's very similar to the background. And it goes to about here, and then the rest of the fill in on this side must be a different color. So yeah, so it's not glamorous, but it needs to be done, and it was quick and easy, and that's what I did last week on Mill Hill Monday. So I did not put these in my finish goals in my 2023 plans video. I do want to always have one on the go, and I've finished 2 already, and this is the 3rd one, but I would like to have 1 every month, you know, maybe more, just to change them out willy-nilly. I have a frame over there on my dresser, but I don't really I'm not feeling it every Monday to work on these, and so I don't necessarily have a need to progress through these really fast. It's nice to have them, but I think my tentative, like, overarching goal would be nice to finish this one this year and the little pretzel magnet that I have, and get started either a fall or winter piece, because so far the 3 I have are fairly spring summer. So it'd be nice to have something from the other part of the year. So that's kind of my hope for this one. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it would be nice to get Honeybee done and that little pretzel, and then go back to another buttons and beads that's either more of a cooler month situation. Next, I did work on flea market flowers. I talked with Colette, the highway stitcher one, for a little bit, and then I also talked with my sister a little bit. So I got 2 sessions in on this one this week, which was nice. So I'm working in this not quadrant, because there's not 4, this little patch mostly, but what I'm doing is if I have extra thread on my needle and it's in one of these neighboring sections, I'll go ahead and finish the thread out in that section. So I think I have a little bit in here and maybe a little bit more in here as well. But I think, I may have used up. I was thinking I was gonna have extra orange, but I think I ended up using it up in this flower, so I didn't. But I was thinking I'd have to count all the way down here to finish out my orange thread, and there's all of this in between that I did not have stitched yet. So I figured I'll go ahead and just, you know, put that thread away. But in general, if there's more of that color in a neighboring square, I will go ahead and continue on. And it'll just make it that much easier to finish that section later. So so here is where this one is now. This is 1/1 on vintage cloth, 25 count. This is the color barley, I believe. So yeah, that's how far I got. I finished the greens in this block, which I finished, you know, I finished all the green of that color in this block, and then a little bit left on my needle, went over and started that leaf. And then I did the orange, which finished these petals, finished the center of that flower, and started in on the dark brown, which I'm just filling in, not brown, it's gray, dark gray. And then when I'm done with that, I'll have probably more on my needle, so I'll do some in this block next. There's more, that's the color for the borders as well, but I think there's more in here, and that's a big section. So I'll go over and finish out my thread in that section when I've finished whatever I'm gonna do in there. So I'll keep pulling this out. I would like to get this little patch done here in January. That's my goal. And similar to my travel stitching, I finish one of these sections for the month early and I have more opportunities to work on it. Or if I finish both whip goals on my Advent Animals early, that's when I'll pull out my antique shoe collection to try to get my January section on that done. And I know it's makes me a little bit nervous that one's not going to get the attention it needs because it's like after this and after this, but it's really, I don't have the same motivation to get it done as I do on these other ones. So even though it's probably my oldest project, it's kind of one of those, like, it's just always there, you know, it's comforting. I don't need it gone. It's just, you know, that's my project. So anyways, I would like it finished, but it's not as like pressing on my conscience as these other ones. So I'm okay with that if it does not get 100% finished this year, but I will try to get it, you know, moving along. We'll see how it goes as the year progresses, if that's an unreasonable goal or if I need to change things up. So, okay, my main stitching has been dictated by Bringo, which is in the Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge group on Facebook, and it's in their event section. They have in the files section a board and a list of prompts. So I screwed up right here. This one has not yet been called, but I have finally got my first bingo right here. I've got a lot of places where I could have a bingo in one square, either of these, this one. But I finally got one last night, and this is the one called for today. So there's still some left, I think. Yeah, I've still got like a week and a half until this is over. But I have all my projects for January plugged into here, and so when I am working on them is a mystery, which has been kind of fun. So I worked on Crazy Wonderful Owl Family, and that one actually came out 3 times since I've seen you last, and it is still on the board one more time. So this is my full coverage, no background choice for the month of January, which means it's a full coverage project, but I'm not stitching the background. So I have 8 of these already started and desires for 2 more. So it was perfect for working on one each month, except for February and August when I have other plans. So this is fun. I had forgotten that he had so much orange in him because his ears and his eyes are orange, and my husband not only is blue his favorite color, he is a Broncos fan who's blue and orange, so it's perfect. There's like, this project gets more and more perfect every time I find out a new little detail. So this got 161 stitches on that last Monday, which wasn't great, but okay. Then Friday I got 264 stitches, and Saturday 319 stitches. So overall, decent progress. Here it is now. This is on 28 count Glacier Even Weave by Picture This Plus. It's 1/1 full cross. And I have completely finished the top row, 10 by 10 row of squares, which is not as impressive as it sounds, but it is done. And I'm working on the second row. So the top row was just like along here and the tippity top of this ear. So that was the whole top row of the whole design. So the second row of 10 by 10 squares, I'm starting in to pick my symbols from there, and I'll move down this way, which will also include the top of Mama Owl's head, which I'm happy that this color came around here, because now I can count off of this to go up to her head to make sure it's in the right spot. So that's fun. This will come out one more time between now and the 25th, and that'll be fun. So this has gotten a nice a nice progress, because I feel like it had languished a little bit too long, and I know it's nowhere near done, but it's been nice to give it some more concentrated love. And I think going forward, I might really like this structure where I have basically a non-full coverage, fancy lady, full coverage, and full coverage no background, each getting a week every month. And I think I like that. It'll give me time to give each piece, you know, a fairly significant amount of time. And I think that's gonna be really fun. So next up, I did Visit Endor, which is my oldest son's piece. And he commented, I was telling him, I was like, oh, more sky, I'm just working in the sky. And he said, is that why you're not working on it very often? I was like, oh, I really need to work on this more. So I decided, based on that comment and a previous comment from a viewer who encouraged me to finish Bear Time stories sooner than later as well, because it's got kind of a childish look to it. I went ahead and put both of those full coverage family pieces in my February plans as well, because they need to keep seeing the time and attention. And this son, I only have him at home for 2.5 years. So I need to get this going. So here's Visit Endor. This is by Country Magic Stitch. It's, I'm up here in the sky. So it's very, I thought I would get more done than I did. And maybe it was just a busy day. I got 222 stitches, but it was all one color. So I probably should have gotten more, but maybe it was just a little bit too boring. So I do like a little bit of stimulation when I'm stitching. So something to think about, look at, count. So I am enjoying this, but I do want to get out of this more boring section. Move on to the fun stuff. So here's this one. This is on 28 count. Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. And I am doing basket weave now. So I worked down here, finishing up that little section of sky, and eventually I'll have longer, you know, ones to kind of fill in and underneath the Death Star. So I will pull this out again at least one day in February, maybe 2. We'll see. I think I have 3 days at the end of my official plans in February. I was thinking of giving all 3 to Bear Time Stories, but I might give this a day and give Bear Time Stories 2 days at the end of my Full Coverage Fanatics bingo board stitching for the first 25 days. I'll talk about that a little bit more detail at the end. I did work on my fairy a little bit. I guess this is some bonus stitching as well. My letter F fairy got a little bit of love, not a lot. I worked on this 3 times. Yes, 3 times, but not a ton each time. But I do need this finished by May or whatever. So I need to keep plugging away at this. May or June, probably June. Here is this one. It's always look better with something behind it. This is the called for Witchell Water Lily Linen, 32 count, 2/2 full cross. And the one day I did a small length of Kreinik, and the second day I did another small length of Kreinik, so that all her wings are backstitched. And then the third day I worked on this, I did 1 length of brown fancy floss to start in on the letter. So now I have pretty much just the letter finished. There's more beads and swirls at the end of her dress, but I wanted to kind of get more of the letter finished before I did more beading. So there's a little bit more beading back here and in her wings too. But since I have like such a long, I can use such a long length of thread for my beads. All of these beads were 1 length of thread. I want to go ahead and get more stitching done before I pull out more beads. So that's where she's at. Hopefully I'll get back to her as I can in the afternoons. If I feel like I have a little bit freer day, I can pull her out for a length of thread here and there. So, and then that day's main project was Flowers Within a Flower, which I think only came out once this week. This is my focus on a finish for January. I don't know that it's gonna happen. There's a lot going on in here. So it is more stitching than I hoped there would be, especially since I was barely started. But this was a magazine chart that I won in like a Pass the Stash giveaway on someone's channel a few years back. Started it last year during Bringo, and I figured I need this done. This was just a whim start, and I don't want it around. I want to have it done. So here is where I got to. This is, I believe, 32 count lamb's wool linen, 2/2 full cross, with a whole host of fractional stitches. And a lot of that dark peach color I did. I thought those flowers would be more pink, but apparently they're peachy. Not quite all of the, I'll think of a little more, because I finished my thread, but there's a little more in one of these, maybe this one. I don't know. They both look fairly done. I know I have this petal left to do that color, and I'm color completing as I go. But it'll get done eventually, and giving it 10 days, probably more like 9 days, at least 9 days in January here will be good for it. Maybe I can finish it next year if I really can't get it done this year, but I'll still give it the old college try. Where did that go? And it will come out again 1, 2, 3 more times on my Bringo board, and at least 3 days at the end of January when Bringo is over. I plan to work on it again so another 6 days. I don't think that's enough time to finish it, but depending on how close I get at the end of those days, I might give it a little bit more time to get it all the way done. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. I could potentially give it an extra day or two, or I could give those extra days to something else, like my new Fancy Lady Start or Winter Montage. So we'll see. We'll see how close I get towards the end of January. Then I worked on Grand Library Romance, which has been fun. EGH. And that's the one I believe that was called for today. Yeah, this is for the square largest whip was called today, and this of my January pieces, this is the largest. So this is artwork by Amy Stewart. It's a small portion of the larger Grand Library. It says quick stitch. It is not a quick stitch. It is 625 by 330, so it is very large. But what I believe happens when they do many of their quick stitches is they take a crop of the larger design, and then they don't crop the pattern, they crop the original artwork and make that larger. So this has more detail in this space than this space in the larger pattern. It's not, because the full-size design is probably no more than 600 or 700 stitches wide. So there's no way this shelf by itself would be that much in the whole original Grand Library pattern. So they took that section of the artwork and blew it up a little bit more so you get more detail for just this section. I have started this one on this side. So you'll see some of these roof shapes, the window, this bush, you'll see some of that stuff starting to come in, this like pink sky up here. What is that? Yeah, pink sky. So you'll see some of that. It looks like a little like European alleyway because there's like a bicycle parked there. So anyways, I'm not down to the bicycle yet, but give you an idea of what to look at. So here is where this one's at. It's coming along because this one got some time on Thursday, 416 stitches, as well as Sunday, yesterday, for 509 stitches. That wasn't yesterday, it was Monday, but 2 days ago. So overall, I've already gotten more than 1,000 stitches on this, which is really cool. And it's been called 3 times already, and it's called for today. And I think it's on here one more time. So I'll work on it today and one more time before the end of January to get a full 5 days of this, which is really cool. This is 40 count French lace linen, 1/1 half stitch. Very tiny stitches, but it's really fun. And it goes so fast. And I don't know if it's because, I mean, part of it is it's a half stitch, so that does go fast. But the other part is, I think, because one length of thread goes a real long way. And I already cut small pieces so they don't start shredding, and I don't have to count really far. But even like a 12-inch length of thread will do so many stitches. So it goes really fast. Then I worked on my owl family again, then I worked on the owl family again, then the library again. Then yesterday it called Winter Montage, which will be, the plan was to work on these on Sundays for seasonal Sundays, for 1 quarter. And then I have other seasonal pieces that will be in the other months. So I made sure this got 3 days on my Bringo board and the Sunday after Bringo's over, and ideally one more day, because I was looking at all the rest of the months in my planner, and I think it would be fun. There's several months with 5 Sundays and several with 4. So I was wanting to have all my montages on the 5 Sunday months because they're bigger. It would be nice to give them a little bit more attention. And then the 4 Sunday months will be divided. Either a Celtic lady will get 4 days, or I'll have crosses getting 2 days. Two different seasonal crosses getting 2 days each on a month. And I'll explain that more later when it comes up. But yeah, so here we are. These are by Pain Free Crafts. Artwork is Janet Stever. And there are also Janlin kit versions that are smaller, but I thought these were pretty. And mine is on 28 count, 1/1, full cross. And I got 293 stitches yesterday. And it's up here in the corner. I'm picking the symbols. I believe I may have completely finished the top 10 by 10 square, which is really cool. So then I'm going to go down to the next 10 by 10 square rather than over, because I want to work this top box like this. So I'm going to work in columns, picking my symbols in columns by 10 by 10 squares, and then I'll go back up to these 10 by 10 squares, picking my symbols, and I'll stitch them where they appear within this block. So that's kind of how that's going, and I love it. So like I said, this one will come out one more time on my WhipGo board or Bringo board, and one more time after Bringo is over. And Bringo is part of that monthly magazine challenge group on Facebook, and Carolyn Seasook Stitch here on Flosstube, and Robin Bird's Eye Stitches are the admins over there. Carolyn draws the numbers every evening, depending on your evening. For me, we're both in the Pacific time zone, so if you're in Europe or Australia or somewhere, it will be different for you, but she draws them every day, let's just say that, so that you know which one you're supposed to work on that day. And so I randomly distributed my numbers throughout my board as well. So if you see somebody playing this, or if you're playing this and you have yours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order, your bingo, options will be different than what you're seeing here, because I randomly put mine on my board. Like my first one is 8. So that's why it looks the way it does. I guess I'll finish, just do a little bit of plan talk for cross stitching, and then I'll show my quilting in case you don't care about the quilting. Bingo sheet for Full Coverage Fanatics bingo is out. This year they're going to have 4, I believe, 1 per quarter of a bingo board in the Full Coverage Fanatics Facebook group. They have their PDF file already filled in with prompts. And so what I thought was cool is that each prompt goes along with a holiday or aspect of February. So Mardi Gras, shortest month, Groundhog's Day, African American History Month, etc. So I thought that was really fun. So they have themes associated with those holidays or aspects of that month. So I believe they're going to do it 4 more times or 3 more times this year. I don't know if I'll be able to do any of the other ones because I won't be doing this much full coverage stitching in the other months. I'll just be having 1 pretty much. But since I'm focusing on full coverage in February, I thought this will be perfect. I'll fill this out. So what I plan to do, I went through yesterday and wrote down all of my full coverage pieces that are not already given a major chunk during the year. Yes, I have a lot of full coverage. So I have 10 pieces that are going to get a whole week, not a whole, about 5 days every month, except for February and August. So these are not those. You're not going to see Grand Library Romance on here because that one got a 5-day chunk in January, for example. I decided to go ahead and add my 2 family pieces that are full coverage, Visit Endor and Bear Time Stories, to this list to make sure they get, 1 more day. And I'll probably also work on them at the end of the month when the bingo board or the full coverage bingo board is over. Just to give them extra attention. So what I'm going to do now, I have not yet done it, but I'm going to compare what I have to their prompts and try to slot them in. And there's going to be 22, 23, 24. Yeah, there'll be 3 of these that will get an extra prompt. But I want to try to get everything in here at least once. So that's kind of my plan. And then I'm planning to randomly generate a number, probably on a wheel that's non-repeating, so that I don't have to repress a random number generator 500 times towards the end of the month. So I'm just going to do a wheel with 25 numbers that's non-repeating, so it'll black out when it's done. And I'll do that every day in February and do kind of my own bingo situation like I am this year or this month with Bringo. So I think that'll be fun. So that's how I'm going to handle full coverage February. There's lots of ways you can do full coverage February. It's kind of the brainchild of Colette, the highway stitcher here on Flosstube. And she's going to be doing an acrostic, the letters full coverage, and picking a different project for each of those. And I think it's about 12 days long. She's going to have a different project for those 12 days. If you have 1 full coverage project, you could choose to work on it all month. Monogamously, you could work on it on the weekends. Just something fun to focus on full coverage a little bit in the month of February. So feel free to join us. Colette will also be putting up some full coverage related questions on Instagram during February, 1 per week. I believe they're also associated with prizes. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're following her over on Instagram. And I think that's everything. I'm excited. Oh yeah, so quilting, I think that's all my stitching. I got back finally to my Scrappiness is Happiness quilt that I'm doing with the Fat Quarter Shop. This is their quilt along, I guess. I was trying to think of a name. It's basically a sampler. That's the word I was looking for. A sampler quilt of all of the different blocks that are in this book. So you need this book for the specific directions. And then this will tell you the directions. This is free, I believe, on their website or blog, where it gives you a placement for all the blocks in one big sampler. So I got behind over the holidays because I just couldn't. Some of the blocks coming that I missed were big, like this one, and wasn't quite able. I couldn't do those this time. But there were 3 fairly simple blocks that were the next 3, and so I did all 3 of those yesterday, which felt really good to get caught up again a little bit. I'm not fully caught up, but I made progress. And so the next two are those really big ones, and I'll do those on their own week. But hopefully in the future, there's going to be some smaller blocks that I can kind of 2 or 3 together again to get caught up at that point. So this is the quilt along is going all the way until June, I think, and they're going to do 1 block every week. So I would like to get caught up again. So this is the plaid block that I did. I kind of coordinated it with the dark yellow that goes like in the center of these flowers. So I thought that was cute. That was really easy and simple. This is the tall patchwork pumpkin. They have a pumpkin quilt in the book. Some pumpkins are sideways, some pumpkins are up and down, some are whole pieces of fabric, and some are these 6-patch. Ideally, the 6-patch was supposed to have 6 different colors of orange, but I only had like 3 colors of orange, so I just went with 1 dark and 1 light. Called it good. With like a green print to show kind of vines, I guess. Then the last one I did was the Santa hat. And this one I did similar to some of the other ones, where I take my color inspiration from this layout rather than the book, because this layout knows what it will look like all together. So for example, the Santa hat in the book has a background that's colorful with white trim on the hat. But in the sampler quilt, it's got a white background with like light pink trim so that it stands out off the white background. So I wanted to make sure to match the quilt that I'm doing. So I did white background and then a light pink trim. So it's a little unconventional, but it works. So yeah, that was fun to get back into that. And so hopefully I'll be able to make time for a block a week, at least at this point going forward. So, and I think with that, it is time to go. My husband, I can hear him starting to get lunch down there. And I hope you have a wonderful week cross-stitching and living life. And I hope to see you back again next week for another update. In the meantime, happy stitching. Bye.